Hi, and welcome back to episode 3 of Soul Stretch. My name is Selena, your host. In today's episode, we are going to be focusing on stretches that can help back flexibility. This is going to be a little bit more of a intense stretch today, and for more, I would say not for beginners, but I can give you workarounds for the more intense stretches. So before we get started, I want to say that we did talk about in the first episode the benefits of stretching. In the second episode, we talked about the different types of foods and small snacks that you can have throughout the day or when you're hungry that I recommend. And I have a short video that is going to be talking about some of the vitamins that I take to help me feel better about the day and feel more energetic and help me stay healthy. So we're going to start with that. Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to the last episode of this live stream series. And in this last episode, I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of my favorite vitamins that I use every single day to help me have more of a more clarity. Yes, this is a stretching based live stream, but I think nutrition is also very important. So the first vitamin that I take every single day is this vitamin B12. So a lot of these vitamins you can get at Target, you can get at Walmart. I would recommend getting them at Target or Walgreens. B12 can help with manufacturing healthy blood cells. It is also really good for benefiting DNA synthesis. If you're not sure what this is, it basically is helping to make the genetic material in all of your cells. Keeps your blood cells healthy, helps with your nerve cells, it helps with converting food into energy, which who wouldn't want that? That's freaking ideal, I feel like. The next the next vitamin I want to talk about is the cranberry vitamin. This helps promote bladder health because it can fight cavities in the mouth. It has antibacterial effects. It's rich in antioxidants, protects against any stomach ulcers, and they reduce any bad cholesterol. So lots of benefits with this. And you may not see these right away with the cranberry, but you definitely want to make sure you're taking these consistently along with all the other vitamins that I'm mentioning, just because if you're only taking them once a week or you're missing days, they're not going to have that full effect. Alrighty, so the next vitamin I'm going to be talking about is iron. So I actually started taking iron because I was getting pretty dizzy ever since I started taking my medications for my acne. I would get like really dizzy when I would stand up, and I just my mom recommended me to take something like iron. But not only does iron prevent, dizziness or lightheadedness when standing up, if that's a problem you struggle with, preserving many vital functions, including energy and focus, helps the immune system as well, and the regulation of body temperature. If you are somebody that notices low energy or fatigue, definitely maybe look into your doctor to see if you do have low iron and if this is something you should be taking. Alright, so the last and final vitamin I'm going to be talking about is my personal favorite one. It is biotin. This is a dietary supplement that is good for your hair growth. So, can we look at my hair? Pretty long. I actually just cut 2 inches off of it because it was starting to split at the bottom. Good for nail growth. These are not my real nails, but we're not going to talk about that. Also really great for your metabolism, so digesting your food faster and allowing you to eat large amount of foods and, metabolize that. It's good for energy as well. I mean, all these vitamins, ever since I started taking them, I've noticed me having so much more energy. Also really good if you have issues with like your skin peeling or issues with your skin at all. Like if you got a cut or something, it's very good with building that skin and the skin strength as well. Alrighty, so those were just a few of the vitamins that I use daily. I actually have a vitamin case for them that I refill every Sunday. So once I finish them, I will refill an AM and a PM. I take them twice a day. But those are just a few of them, and I think it's really important to take your vitamins because I think in the long run they really do benefit you, along with eating healthy, along with stretching, along with yoga, along with everything we've talked about so far in this live stream. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into today's stretch. We're going to be focusing on the back today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. All right, so that was just a short little section of a little bit of advice about my daily life and kind of type of vitamins that I use. Before we do get started with the actual stretch sequence, I do want to say this video is sponsored by Spree. In the last week's episode, we talked about stretch bands. They also are a company that makes stretch bands. They made my yoga mat here, and they also make resistance bands. So that's just kind of a picture of some of the things that they have. But they're great bands, so definitely check them out if you're trying to get into stretching or yoga in general. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with the sequence. Once again, this is a little bit more advanced, so if you need to take it, easy, definitely do that. So we're first just going to start off on the floor here, and we're going to stretch from side to side. And this is going to be for, you should feel it in this part of your back here. Well, I guess that's like your back stomach. Okay. Then we're going to turn to the side here. We're going to hold each position for about 10 seconds because this is a little bit longer sequence today. And we'll drop down to our leg. Okay, I'm gonna go to the other side. You're also going to feel this in your legs and your hamstrings too, so that's completely normal. And down. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna show you this one stretch. This can be modified, but what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to bring your arms down as far as you can. Sorry, my back's like cracking right now. And a modification of this is just kind of like to bring your shoulders back and relax here. But if you can just kind of stretch like that. We're going to hold that too. Okay. And definitely don't hold it too long because you don't want to hurt yourself. Okay, now we're going to go down here. And this is my favorite stretch ever. Like when I was in dance, I always really liked this stretch. So we're going to lay on your back. And we're going to do this on both sides, but you're going to put your leg over this way. And then you're going to want to look like towards your hand, but you want to keep your hand straight out like that. Okay, and then next side. Okay. So then you're gonna want to get on your stomach. We're gonna start this way, so we're gonna kind of like in a plank position, but then you're gonna drop your pelvis, I think, and you're gonna keep your feet up like that, and then go down like this. And you can do it in like a motion, like multiple times. It's also good for your core, but this is gonna stretch your spine as well. Okay, so then after, you can just drop the knees. And you're gonna wanna kind of not like tense your shoulders like this. You wanna make sure that they're like this. And then stretch back here. Okay, and then feel free, this is a little bit more advanced, but if you wanna put your feet up like this, you can, and you can stretch towards your feet. Otherwise, you can just keep them up. It's really up to you, but okay. Then we're gonna do a back bend. Okay, so that's gonna be a little bit harder, but we're not gonna go into it from up. But the easiest way to go into it is to make sure both of your palms are flat on the ground and push up like that. And if you want to straighten your feet, that's gonna be better. You're gonna get more of a stretch, but that's a little bit more advanced. If you want to keep your feet flat, you can. Otherwise, you can straighten them. Okay, you feel free to hold that for however long you want. Okay. So, if you want to repeat that as many times as you can, definitely feel free. But that's just a few stretches you can do to help with back flexibility. And there are definitely more stretches you can do, but those are just a few. Sorry, I don't know why I'm out of breath right now. But anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next week.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Creating Head On. Today we're on the final stages of production, post-production. It's a pretty serious business, so what is post-production? This is what you do to your art, your media, whatever you've created to doll it up, to make it exactly how you want it to come out. This is how you fix any abnormalities, this is how you make it sound nice, look visually pleasing, everything like that. So, the longest part of production is by far post-production. It's not the hardest. I will say the hardest is definitely normal production. Making the product as is can come with a lot of issues. However, post-production takes the longest. It could take anywhere to double how long the production itself took, at least in my case. And a lot of it comes down to how well you want the product to look, to turn out. The more you put in, the better the quality, however, the exponentially longer amount of time. You can only learn to get better and quicker and streamline the process of post-production by trial and error. And that's how a lot of production goes as is. What I've learned is that you don't really get better at something until you can understand what it means and apply it to how you make content. I like to make videos, I'll play games, I'll talk about whatever. And you only really get better at how to make the flow, how to make your workflow better, how to make everything all tied up and concise by trying. And it's definitely a scary process for sure, but it's something you kind of have to get past, you know. Like I said, a lot of trial and error, emphasis on the trial. It takes a lot to really get it down. And in my opinion, I don't think you ever should truly get it down. I think you should always be pushing yourself to do even more and go harder than you did last time. Learn something new. Every time you make something, learn something new. Over time, you definitely start to gain a workflow. Things just kind of fall into place a bit better. You understand what techniques you're using. You understand how they affect the video or the piece of art that you're producing. And getting this workflow down takes even more, say it with me now, time. Plenty and plenty of time. Everything about post-production is time. However, the time you spend learning new things and pushing yourself to refine your qualities already, it'll pay off exponentially in the long run. You really can't put like a bow on it. It's something that has no skill ceiling. You always get better and you try new things. So my experience with post-production, which I will be referring to as editing in my case, I like to edit videos, so my experience with editing as a whole. Well, I went in virtually blind. I had not really much of a clue what I was doing. However, I had seen editing software like interfaces before, so I thought, it's probably good enough. So a lot of different things go into it, like choosing a software. Personally, I use DaVinci Resolve. It's completely free, and I will talk about this editing software till the day I die because I think it is absolute masterclass quality. So I thought, it's free and it helps the little guy make his stuff. Why not use it? It took me a long time to understand what editing even was and how it worked. I remember being a kid and I would watch a lot of stop motion animation. And I thought, how did they do that? How do they get these things to move and why does it look like that? And like, do they really just do this in real life? No. It's a lot of editing, but as a tiny little child, you don't quite understand that. So going in blind, it has completely changed my perspective and opened my eyes to all these different avenues. Like, oh, I like this video I watched. I want to replicate what they did because I understand that's editing, and I want to get to that level as well. and that ties into learning the powers of editing. It can really do a lot, whether the editing is very in your face and loud, or maybe it's quiet and you don't pick up on it unless you're looking for it. I think taking production classes, post-production, doing it myself, just being immersed in this vacuum of creating, I definitely have a good eye for picking that stuff out. And editing, it might be post-production. Actually, it is post-production. But that doesn't mean it doesn't influence the other stages. Pre-production, you'll have to think, okay, during production, how do I make this so post-production is a lot easier? How during production, like, oh, when this clip I just recorded, I think I'm going to do this and this and this, and everything falls in tandem, and that connects obviously with workflow. So, as I've been saying, there is a lot of time and energy that goes into post-production, into editing. What better energy to get than today's sponsor, 5 Hour Energy? The only way to keep up with long nights of editing, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of editing, is to inject a lethal amount of caffeine. Thank you, 5 Hour Energy. I've relied on your products multiple times, and they've gotten through long nights of crunch time. So thank you for sponsoring this segment. So, congrats, you got through the post-production, and it's finally time to put your art out there. It's big stuff. However, we're not ready yet. What we have to do, which I have a video prepared for you, is exporting the project. Now this can be easily messed up, so let me walk you through this. So, you're finally ready to put out your piece of art. You put your mind onto your canvas, you give it all you could, and you're finally ready to show the world what you can offer. That's great. I mean, that's what I've been advocating for this whole time. You finally made art. Now, however, there's one last thing we have to go through, and it's a little complicated, I will warn you. Really easy to get this wrong. We have to export the video. Sounds confusing, but I tell you, if you hold my hand close, I'll show you exactly what to expect. All right, so let's get started. Now, you see we have our finished video here. We're absolutely happy with how this came out. So, let's get to exporting. Now, follow along. You see my cursor. Wow. Experience at normal production and post-production. I hope you enjoyed today's live segment, and thank you for watching.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Breakdown, the show where I tell you how to make beats, and today is a very special episode. We are being focused on orchestral beats in the style of the Playboi Carti edits. Playboi Carti has been a rapper that's been around since 2017, 2015, 16, came up on the scene from SoundCloud. And as of kind of recently, there has been edits where they'll put like some violins over usually an unreleased song of his, and oftentimes these edits will say like "Let Him Cook" or something. They're very interesting and very fun.
Orchestral beats
and
have
I
been
have
kind of a new.
The preview of the song, because I already made it, took a few hours to make, and it just was not going to. It wasn't going to fit in one stream, so I already made it, and that is in the video package, and that will be played now.
Orchestral beats have been kind of a new phenomenon, I'd say. They have recently, in the last 2 to 3 years, been very popular due to edits and videos and memes online. You have probably heard some of these or seen some of these videos. Typically there will be someone saying like "let him cook" or whatever. It'll be a classical or orchestrated song remix with Playboi Carti on the track, which is a very unusual combo, but it somehow really works, and that's kind of what I will be breaking down today. So there's many parts to this, but it actually is not that difficult. I'll play a preview of the song, and then during the stream I will show just how I made each and every one of those and why it's not too difficult.
Alright, so that is just a little preview of what the song is going to sound like, and I'm using FL Studio, which is the sponsor of today's stream.
Now, FL Studio is the greatest DAW in the world. Whether you are a beginner or someone who's been seasoned in the music industry, FL Studio is the greatest software to use. It's got just the best plugins out of any DAW. I've talked to many seasoned veterans in the music industry, and they all say one thing: FL Studio is the greatest DAW. I use FL Studio all the time. It has saved me a ton, and it is something that I will use until the end of time, honestly. I made this only with the stock plugins that came with it, including Flex and Morphine, and it came out sounding like this. As you can see from that, I mean, that was literally my first time ever trying something like that. It's the first time trying EDM/rage music, and I'd say thanks to FL Studio, it came out pretty nicely, and it's something that I'm quite proud of, and that's all thanks to FL Studio. Anyways, back to the stream. Now, FL Studio...
I apologize for those camera angles. I have nothing to prop my camera on, so that's what we had to do. We'll just go track by track, and basically just show what I did to make this beat. It obviously starts off with the piano, and the key I'm in is F sharp minor harmonic. And what I did for the chords was I did a 1-3-5 chord, just a basic triad, and I moved the third up an octave. So, and then I have a little top line melody here. And I do have little, you can barely even see it, just tiny little notes that just kind of crescendo up into this D here. And then I changed the velocity and chopped up this note at the end, so it sounds like this. Just gives it a little nice roll to it. Next is the organ and also the brass. There's not much to say about this. It's the same chords as before. It's a 1-5, and then the octave. So the organ and brass with the piano sounds like this. And I did take off the melody for the piano. And then I have the second part of the organ. At the end I have these notes that just kind of trickle downwards. Thought that just gives it a little more flair, and I liked how it sounded. That is kind of reminiscent of Toccata and Fugue by Bach. That's a song that you have all heard of. If you don't really know the title of, you have all heard of. It's that very famous organ song, and you typically hear it around Halloween time because it's in D minor. It sounds a little spooky. So, and a little fun fact is Playboi Carti actually sampled that song in his song Vamp Anthem. So, the more you know. And then next section here, took out the melody of the organ and then introduced a choir, and did the same thing with the chords again. Kept it really simple, nothing too crazy here. It sounds like this. introduced some drums. It sounds like this. I changed the velocity with these kicks. And I just thought it sounded pretty good. Had to add a lot of reverb to both just to give it a little more space to it. And then next section, bar 33, I introduced staccato strings. Gives it a little more suspense. I also have this crash down here that I forgot about. And then this next section, this is where it starts to build up to the top. Changed up the drums. Have the snare, and then cuts out because that's where the drop is, so I decided to cut that out. Also added a gone here, layered that with the crash to give it a little more. I did add this bass part. It's a little hard to hear. It's kind of under the mix. It just gives it a little more texture. Just playing the bass notes. Have a bell as well. That rhymed. And yeah. Then I also have these this violin. And then I cut everything out besides the violin for the drop. And then that's where the drop happens. I changed up the violin pattern. And I have two different ones. They sound the same, but I have the first note playing tremolo, just a little, goes back and forth on the actual violin. So this is the vibrato part, but or maybe I don't. That was actually for the first pattern. My apologies. Sounded like this. As you can hear, that first note just sounds just a little bit different. Gives it a little more life to it. And then the drop, staccato violins, choir, organ, and then the violin pattern changed. Everything else stayed the same. And then I introduced these drums. Snare I layered with a clap, and then the hat I have just straight eighth notes with some rolls in there, and then I have down here some hat notes that are really pitched down just to give it a little more depth. With the 808, with the snare and clap. Then the kick. And then I also have these laughs, very sinister and spooky, just in time for Halloween. These just added a little bit more to the song. Not necessary at all. I just thought it sounded just that much more epic. Then I go back to the same pattern as before the drop. reintroduce the bell. Then I have this drum fill before the very end. Sounds like this. And then at the end I have a flute. This was originally for the brass, and I thought I just wanted to add a little more instruments to it. And then at the end, it all cuts out, but I have just the crash. And this one I just extended it a little bit, stretched it out so it just goes on a little bit longer. And yeah, in general, I was doing this song kind of in the style of the edits, and also in the song Requiem by Mozart. That's another song, classical song that you have probably heard before as well. Kind of a meme song now, but it is what it is. It's sounds pretty epic and dark, and that was kind of the vibe I was going for. And yeah, that wraps up today's beat. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.